What's up, Applied English, and welcome to Thursday's lesson video today. Today's all about preparing for quizzes and tests. One thing I would say, though, is that if you have not caught up on our last couple of days of predicate nouns and predicate adjectives practice, that would be the best thing to do first before you continue with this video. You will not be ready for tomorrow's quiz unless you know a little bit about predicate nouns and predicate adjectives. As always, I encourage you to pause and say a prayer for your learning today. Again, go back and complete earlier lessons if you need to first. You'll notice that I'm not giving any additional assignments today. It's all just about studying and making sure you're ready for when I open up our verbs quiz tomorrow. Alright, hope you had a moment to pray there. As it says, please watch the verbs quiz review video. You're watching it right now. This is all about being prepped for tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to open up a quiz in Schoology, just kind of a way to cap off this week of virtual learning and a way for us to move on into our next unit on Monday. There are a couple of things that we're going to cover in this video to make sure you are ready. So again, no additional assignments or homework tonight. I will tell you that you'll want to make sure that your materials are organized. You may want to look back through some earlier lessons to be ready, because tomorrow's quiz is fully open note, just like our nouns quiz a couple weeks ago. The first thing I'd like to look at is actually right below this video. You'll notice that I've created just a real brief study guide, just a couple of bullet point items on things that you should be aware of, things that you should know as you prepare for tomorrow's quiz. This one's all about verbs, so it's important to know the difference between action verbs and linking verbs. On the quiz, you will be asked to identify action verbs and linking verbs, so please know the difference between the two. It'd be good to know just some really common linking verbs as well, like the forms of to be. Verb phrases was our second lesson. The thing to remember there most is that most verb phrases begin with one or more helping verbs. You do have a list of common helping verbs in your notes. Verb phrases usually end with the main verb of the sentence. Again, an action verb or a linking verb. Verb tense we covered together during homecoming week. You'll need to know how to identify the tense of a sentence. One thing I'll note, your quiz will not ask you about principal parts, so you don't have to know like past or present participles, those kinds of things. You will need to know how each of the six tenses are formed. Once again, those six tenses are the simple present, past, and future, as well as present perfect, past perfect, and future perfect tenses. And then the last major bit of content to know is predicate nouns and predicate adjectives, like we talked about these past few days. A little quick thing to remember is that these only follow linking verbs, so you'll have to be careful with sentence reading that way. I will show you a way that you can practice these bits of content later on in this video as well. One thing that I wanted to do today, especially if we were in person today, was talk about some strategies for certain question types on quizzes and tests. I'm actually looking at your nouns quiz from a couple weeks ago right now. We didn't have time in class to strategize on your nouns quiz, but now that we've got a moment, I want to make sure you're aware of some strategies that work for different question types on your verbs quiz. For instance, matching. You will see two matching sections on your verbs quiz, so it's good to know how to work with matching. The absolute best strategy for a matching question is to start with the ones you know. Start with the easiest ones first, especially on ones like this where each entry is only going to be used once. So let's say I'm looking at these four right here, common, proper, concrete, and abstract. Let's say I know common and proper very well. Let's say I don't know concrete and abstract very well. So as I work through this, I'm going to do what's easiest for me. Let's say proper nouns are easiest for me. I see a capital letter. Let's say that's the main thing I know about proper nouns. I'm going to start with C. That eliminates C from being used for any others, so I'm helping my chances on others. Once again, I know that common nouns are the opposite of proper nouns. I see a general person, place, thing, or idea begins with a lowercase letter. That has to be B. And now, even if I don't know concrete and abstract nouns very well, at least I've got a 50-50 shot of guessing right. Maybe as I'm reading through this, I notice that concrete, and I see material there. That kind of makes sense in my head. I'll go A. And even if I'm guessing, all I've got left for abstract is D. Multiple choice. So I'm sure you already know some strategies for multiple choice questions. You will see a bunch of these on your verbs quiz, so I want you to know how to best handle multiple choice. The first thing is to read questions carefully. So I see which of the following labels apply to the noun dictionary. And then it gives me multiple options here. The best strategy for multiple choice is process of elimination. So in my head, I should rule out the ones that are wrong here. Let's say for dictionary, I know automatically that it's a common noun, right? I can logically then get rid of C and D, because both C and D suggest that it's a proper noun. So again, even if I have to guess whether it's concrete or abstract, it's a 50-50 now. Another thing that to be aware of for multiple choice questions and true-false, we'll get to those in just a moment, would be wording, right? A couple of words to watch out for in questions would be words like never, always, or not. The word not especially changes the meaning of the entire sentence. So if it said, which of the following labels do not apply to the noun dictionary, that's going to flip my answers. Have to read them very carefully. The last thing that I almost forgot to mention about multiple choice questions, multiple choice is always about choosing the best answer as well. So again, even if I can whittle it down to 2 answers left, let's say there are 2 answers that both seem good, it's all about weighing which one is better than the other one as well. So let's say I do get question 2 down to both of the commons. I've got common and concrete, I've got common and abstract. I'm working through my head, I'm thinking, okay, a dictionary, that's something I can see with my eyes, touch with my hands. I think it makes more sense to choose concrete than abstract. Again, it's about choosing what is best on those multiple choice questions. True-false is the last question type that we're going to look at here. I think we'll look at 6 as an example here. You will see some true-false on your verbs quiz. It says the word chocolate cake is both compound and collective here. This is actually one that a number of students missed because it is not both compound and collective. But the thing to remember for true-false is to read questions carefully and look for tricky words like both, always, never, and not. Again, not, as we talked about with multiple choice questions, can flip the entire meaning of a sentence. We have to be careful with reading there. Words like always and never in true-false questions are almost a dead giveaway that it's false. It's very difficult for a statement to always, always, always be true, or always, always, always be false, unless you're talking about like some capital T truths in your religion classes. This one's false because it's not both compound and collective. It's only compound, right? So some of those words can make true-false statements harder to be true. It's something to watch out for sure, as you are quizzing. We did have some fill-in-the-blank questions on your nouns quiz, but I have not thrown in any fill-in-the-blank questions on your verbs quiz, just to make it a little more user-friendly while we are virtual. The last thing I want to show you today is a little review game that I built that you can use to start prepping for our quiz. I'll just open it up in another tab here. Whenever we do review games in class, I like to do them Jeopardy style, so I'm really sad that we can't do this today in class. I'm just going to choose one team. We won't play buzzer mode. I'll just be pineapple. There's all kinds of little characters you can choose from. Blah, blah, blah. I just want to walk you guys through these categories and what to expect as you are giving yourself some practice for tomorrow's quiz. I will tell you that these categories are pretty similar to the types of questions you'll see on tomorrow's quiz. In action or linking, I'm going to give you just an individual verb. You'll have to identify whether it's an action verb or a linking verb. I think I'll just do the 200s for all of these. They do go from easiest on 100 to the tougher ones on 500. So here we have the verb jump. We just have to identify whether it's action or linking. If you don't want to worry about point values, you can just hit skip see answer, or the check mark is you got it correct. Jump is obviously an action verb, not a linking verb. On find the phrase, I'll give you a sentence. You'll have to identify the verb. So we are going outside. I do see a helping verb are. I do see a main verb going. It's going to be are going. And so on. They do get more difficult as you go on in point value. Name that tense. I'll give you a sentence. You'll have to identify what tense that sentence is written in. Grandma Sue makes delicious cookies. Makes is in the present tense. Predicate noun or predicate adjective. I will give you sentence, and I will ask you to either find the predicate noun or nouns, predicate adjective, or adjectives. Mr. Maxon is an athlete. Our predicate noun here is athlete. That linking verb is connecting Mr. Maxon, the subject, to that predicate noun. Mixed practice, these are just a whole variety of ones to try. They're written a little bit differently than the rest, but I would encourage you to try these out on your own. We'll talk a little bit more about what to expect on the quiz tomorrow. That'll be our next lesson video, and that'll be a short one as well. Today is all about practicing and prepping. I will remind you as well, if you need to go back and complete our work on predicate nouns and predicate adjectives, that's a fantastic idea, really, before you continue today. I want to make sure you are ready for tomorrow's quiz. As always, reach out to me if you are struggling. I do have to do a lot of work today to catch up with my upperclassmen in writing workshop, but I'll do my best to support you today as you are catching up on earlier virtual work. Until then, later.